forward. It actually is now a success. He opened up in the Poughkeepsie area. Yes.
So they just run card games?
They sell cards, they sell board games, you know, and they run card games.
There we go. Here we go. We can learn from each other.
William?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Jackie.
I guess
Hi.
Yeah, it has some wine now. Okay.
It has to go off. Why does it have to go off?
So we can hear each other.
We speak loud.
some of us are old.
The problem is we can't hear. Oh, hold on. The problem is we can't hear the.
As I look around, you may be.
Jackie, I see Nick Henderson and possibly
Bill and
Felicia
Felicia.
in person.
Okay. Call to
I'm sorry,
order
Nick Henderson
the
and-
July
And Felicia.
Thank you.
19th meeting of the Woodstock Town Board is our business meeting, and as it is our business meeting, we'll stand to pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Flag along. Okay. So, Deborah. Oh, there it is. So you guys have a brief update for us?
Where should we go?
Come right up here and then you'll be caught by that speaker there.
The camera, of course, is over there, so if
What's
you're
that?
speaking to kind of both us and whoever you want to speak to. But the camera is in the back.
I'm gonna take this off while I speak, Deborah. I hope you don't mind.
No?
Okay. You'll be the closest. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Thank you for having us. We're gonna take a few minutes of your time this evening to give you an update of what's been happening since the 31st of May, when we made the recommendations and we made public, okay? Now, tonight was generally expected to be a Q&A, but we didn't receive any questions from town board members. So we're gonna hold off on that until that happens, and we welcome those comments. We look forward to those comments. We've already received some comments from a town board member. And thank you, Laura. And for that, and so, you know, that's part of this process, is to receive your specific comments, because we even have a folder waiting for you. So, so it'll go there, and then we will review every single comment. So it's something that's important for us that we receive it in writing, and then we can process it, because it is a process. And I just really wanted to state that this process I'm referring to has been off to a great start. We had a version 1, we definitely expected there to be comments, and those comments have been coming in, and they've been coming in from, we have already received comments, as you are aware of. We have two kind of trajectories, if you will, of receiving comments, and that is on the boards and committees level, right? They're submitting their comments, and we received comments from the Tree Committee and Complete Streets Committee, and from other committees. The WEC has submitted their comments. We've also received comments from members of those committees, a few members of those committees, individually, expressing individual comments. So that too has happened. And so people recognize that there's the committee's perspective, and then there's the individual's perspective as well. So that's happening, and it's really great. We're very excited about the amount of comments that have come in, and we encourage them to continue. So we still have yet to the planning board for their comments, and there's arrangements that's been made for them for a serious review to occur, and that will begin hopefully later on this week, that review. And then that will engage the planning board, and there's also the ZBA is in that same effort to provide an overview and a deep dive into the code itself for the planning board. The consultant will be doing that. So that's where we are now. And then, you know, the comments and questions, we'd like to spend a little bit of time with some of what are the major ones, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Great, thanks. So I just want to say also that we really appreciate everybody's comments, and really welcome and invite, you know, the simplest and most complex of questions and
I handed it
concerns.
off too soon, didn't I?
Pardon?
I handed it off too soon, didn't I?
You lost, you're out.
I'm done. I gave it up.
But you can come back, you
But
got your
at
team.
any time, I
You want
told
me
him,
to
I
do-
said,
you want me to do
"Just
this?"
album."
Yeah, that's okay. I missed
So,
misplaced it. I think I-
anyway, but I did want to also say that the housing committee, although we've gotten some informal comments from one of the, Susan, you know, just early on with some questions, that they are submitting their more formal, I guess, or their compilation of the housing committee comments. And I just want to say that all of the comments we've gotten, they're excellent, they're interesting, they're thought-provoking, they're challenging. And that's what we, you know, we're pleased that that's the case, because it gives us a lot of material to work with. There's no question that first draft is not always final draft. We knew that when we submitted this to you. So we see this as a process and an opportunity for us to really evaluate and take very seriously everybody's input.
And I might want to add one more thing, is it
Sure.
different? I also went to a planning board meeting, we
Right.
went to the ZBA meeting,
ZRC.
a ZRC meeting, and took comments from them, and the WEC. So we went and attended those and absorbed their comments, and really, it was more of a conversation level that we got to, I think in some cases, and so it was really good, I just wanted to mention that.
No, that's good. So it's hard to give you like a big, detailed, sort of, update of what we've heard, but we did want to bring up a couple of themes that came up with the comments we have received that are, again, I think are really giving us food for thought and opportunity to really evaluate and consider the next step. So the two most prominent issues that were raised, or concerns, I would say, one has to do with affordability. And the question of that people wanted to know whether or not the proposals would maximize affordability, or to what extent they would provide affordability. So we are going to be looking at that and looking at ways to further that goal, which of course comes out of the comprehensive plan. And so the comments we've gotten expressed, and that's important. The other issue that sort of emerged as a prominent issue was about density. People have concerns about how much more building the zoning will allow than what the current zoning allows. And we are examining that. We'll look to see if there's anything else we can do to improve the potential for affordable housing, along with having the appropriate level of density established throughout in various parts of the town. And there are ways that we can do that. So this is a good next step. And then we're also going to be looking at just generally the density impacts of the recommendations, and we're going to evaluate that. A lot of the comments we got also recognize that we put a lot of emphasis on the environment and on looking at environmental resources and protecting them. And so the land use proposals have alongside them environmental criteria for how to evaluate what goes on a piece of land. So, and that's such as the net buildable acres and the conservation subdivision. And there's a lot more detail associated with that. There were also some questions that came up, and understandably, about the process and the analysis that resulted in the recommendation. So what we gave you all, and what really was our primary deliverable, was a red line version of the zoning code. That's why it's 333 pages. That's the full code that includes what was there, what was added, what was moved, all of that. It's a full document that's there, and one can look at where it was, what was added, what was deleted, what was moved, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very big document. But what we didn't do along with that was to give you a report, although we did report to you in January what we had done, the interviews we did, the analyses we did, the mapping we did, all of that, but we didn't then bring that back to you when we came back in May. We were really focusing on the draft code. But we want to make sure that people are aware and that you're aware that we did a tremendous amount of analysis. We started with a comprehensive plan, which was our charge, and the existing codes in all the districts in town, and then what had already been done in Woodstock, along with the current best practices in land use planning for communities of our size and character. So we weren't looking at urban communities, we were looking at rural, small towns in the region and throughout the state. And then we also utilized all the previous work by the town, policies that you'd approved, and the resources that you've already invested in, and used that as a starting point. So with that, we looked townwide at what the resources are in the town, where they are, and how they interact. We did a factual-based mapping with a GIS with all the available data, and we utilized, as I said, a range of studies that you'd already done and some that were in process, such as the comp plan and its appendices, but also the Hudsonia Significant Habitat Study, the NRI maps, the proposed wellhead protection overlay, the wetlands and watercourse law, the tweaker law, the county's housing plan, the Woodstock design guidelines that the planning board has on their site, and the Ulster County Design Manual, just to name a few. We did over 24 interviews with people from every segment of the community, and we looked at everything with task force, all 7 of us, very carefully discussed things thoroughly, really hashed a lot out, and came to agreement on all of our recommendations as a group. This isn't to say that there aren't changes to make in version 2. We think that it would be appropriate for us to do that, and that's why we really are looking forward to your comments and questions that really help us in that process. And so we will look into really hopefully come back to you with a version that will be a code that will serve the community now into the future, as well as other policy recommendations. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, a lot of the comments that came in addition to those that were specific to the code itself and what we were proposing, were not part of zoning. They're things that happen outside of zoning, but they're really important things. And so we will be providing that list to you as part of our feedback from the comments that we've gotten, and certainly you can all look at those yourselves as well. And then also there were some other things in going through the existing code that popped out at us that needed to be reorganized, or they were inconsistent. So we're trying to, so those are kind of the housekeeping things. That's another list.
Right.
So that's really all I have to say. Did you
So I just, because I want to wrap it up, and we do want to keep this short.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to address, people are talking about the affordability, and one of the things that we've talked about a couple of times that is separate from this document. Somebody's phone? Is looking at ways to do adjust assessments and give tax breaks that way in order to get affordability. So the zoning law may not necessarily be able to dictate affordability, but there are other ways that we can work on that. The other thing I want to mention, Deborah Kirk and I have talked about, and we are going to add an additional round of review. So when you guys bring this document back, we're going to go through this process again, send it out to all the boards. And if we're comfortable at that point, then we'll start the official 45-day review, and if not, you know, if we've got a lot of questions and things we want to look at, we'll go through another round.
I mean,
So the other thing I just wanted to add to that is that when we submit the version 2 with all the comments and everything, make the adjustments according to what we feel is best for the town, is that we will provide an executive summary of the document, of what we've done in this journey.
right.
And that executive summary will capture the motivation behind it, the people involved on the task force, the resources we used, everything that we articulated today, it will be captured in that executive summary. And that will be a good summary for everyone to be aware of what we've done thus far and what drove the
How we got from A to Z.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So here, so you'll see that as part of version 2 as well.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. I mentioned briefly about the task force. We hashed everything out. This is one of the hardest working groups I've ever been
Yeah.
part of in like 25 plus years of working professionally in the environmental planning world. And I would say that everybody has shown incredible dedication, come up with great ideas, challenged things along the way. So, you know, and recognizing that we don't have all the answers, which is why we're really pleased that we've gotten the feedback thus far that we have. We welcome people to provide us with more feedback. It's zoning updates at Woodstock.
Zoning updates at New York.
Woodstock is
Woodstock
now
and
done,
Maria-Elena.
and Ashley has been tremendously helpful in
Thank
organizing.
you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
For posting that on chat.
Right.
You know, you're right, it's an incredible group of volunteers that we have, and I mean, we've all been around quite a while. We've seen how committees can languish for years trying to get things done, so thank you for getting us here so quickly.
Well, if I can say something?
Yeah.
As a member of the Housing Oversight Task Force, my thanks again to Kirk and Deborah, because they continue to do a great job leading and pulling everything together. And I will say, I also felt very good, and you probably got the ZRC official feedback too. I know you came to the meeting, but yeah, the official feedback came in. But the other thing too is, as I heard what people said, because we already had a meeting to review feedback,
Right.
it's not clear how much we'll have to change in the code. I think the big task now is communication to explain more, because input was very heartfelt, very passionate. And I still love our volunteers, because the different volunteers, the individuals and the boards, they care deeply. And so that's where the input came from, was from people that care deeply. And I think a lot of the answers are there in the code. It's not to say something won't change or can't change, but I think a lot of it right now is that there's a communication step to hear what was said, which is happening. Hearing what was said, that's what Kirk and Deborah and that task force are already doing. Hear what was said, and then think it through, and then say, hey, maybe we did cover it, or maybe we just clean up how we covered it so it's more clear. There's a lot that can come out of this, but I believe that what was sent out was very solid, although tweaking and polishing to make it more clear is fine. And everybody's feedback is great, and I think this communication step is very important.
Also, we are working to put NAN, the planning board, and the zoning board together for a session. I know the planning board in particular was concerned about what does this mean, how are we going to, operate going forward, and I think NAN can be instrumental in that.
Oh, so one other question, has Butch, is the building department,
He's been looking at it, I don't know where it
Yes,
is.
and Kirk and I actually are going to reach out to him as well. I just wanted to bring to your attention again, because I know you guys have so many things on your plate, but the documents that we gave you on the 31st of May, the one that's the summary of the proposed changes is like a 5-pager. It looks like this, has no pictures, right? It's just text. Is like an overview. And then we did 2 charts. We did a short version that was a 2-page handout, and then we did the black and white, which is 4 pages. Now, again, things may change somewhat. This may not be, obviously, but this is a really good guide for just understanding what has been
The major
proposed.
points.
The major points.
Okay.
We want you to
With
know.
that, I'm going to go to the town clerk for a minute, because she's been
That's right.
raising her
Thanks,
hand.
everyone.
Thank you.
Jackie?
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bill, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that Debbie and Kurt send me what they have presented tonight. That's the easiest way to get your information into my minutes.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. We'll take care of that, Jackie.
Perfect.
We have everything written here, and we'll submit that to you.
You're the best. Thank you.
All right. Good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you.
And board, as you continue to read the document, and any questions, comments, thoughts, whatever, email them in, and good luck with the second draft.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Next topic, real quick, emails. So, back a couple of years ago when we did, we had a state audit and we looked at our IT, there were gaping holes, which, in hiring PCA, we've really been able to narrow that down and improve our security and whatnot. One of the items that's still lagging a little bit is our emails. We use digital towpath, and they're just getting a little slower and slower. So the police department, a year ago, we switched them over to, I think it's Microsoft Office is the appropriate program. And if you notice, their email is, the officer's name, say C. Keefe @woodstockpd.org. It's time now that we take the next step, so we're going to be moving everybody who's on the server. So it'll be everybody in this department, water, sewer, the center, and the highway department are going to be moving. We're going to maintain the woodstockny.org email address, and we're going to take for all the volunteer boards, and I have to check and see where the town board is on that. They're going to continue to be on digital towpath since you guys don't have direct access to the server, and then in the next year or so, we'll continue that migration over. The new email for those volunteer boards will be a different email. It'll be something like bratcliffe@Woodstock TB, town board or townboards.org. However, when we make this change, your existing email will just roll right over to that new one. So I just want to give you guys an update on that. We are moving that, and it is much more expensive because of the additional securities, and there's double and triple authentication and whatnot. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to operate, but it makes us a lot safer. So we will be working on that. The other thing is, I just wanted to mention that I emailed, or I think Ashley may have emailed to you, the county response to our local law to amend the LI district. This is for the library. So they had no county impact, so we're good to go. I'll ask you each to get in touch with me in the next couple of days, and if everybody is satisfied with the local law, I'll schedule a public hearing for August. So with that, I'm going to move into some resolutions. Be it resolved to accept minutes for meetings held on June 21st.
Second. Well, I do, I'll second it, but I also want to tell Jackie, there she is. Yeah, so Jackie, I do have updates. I emailed you, but also I need to go back and listen to the YouTube recording because I don't remember all of my comments on the town board update piece, but I want to go listen to YouTube, and then I'll tell you what the comments were so that could get included too. So I did send you an email, but I'll send you.
Lori, you did send me an email, and I'd like to talk to you maybe next week. I'm going to be away for the next 3 days, so maybe Monday or Tuesday we can talk about my minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can contact me by cell because
Okay.
Next week cell is best way to reach me.
I had a
Beautiful.
correction
Thank
as
you.
well. Can I just do the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, just mention the corrections.
Yeah, the correction was that it forgot to mention that I read a letter,
Okay.
as well as read the memo.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we'll amend the minutes to reflect that. All in favor?
I
Aye. Be it resolved to accept the town clerk's report.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize payments of audited vouchers in the amount of $234,358.38.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to authorize transfer per transfer sheet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved to appoint Corey Schmidt as 90-day full-time temporary police officer effective July 22nd, 2022 at an hourly rate of $25.72.
Second.
And just, so Corey has just finished a 90-day. At this point, there's no list to hire full-time, so we're trying to kick the can down the road a little bit. The county does have a test. I think it's scheduled for September, which would put results out in November or December. So, who seconded that, Reggie? All in favor? Aye. Be resolved to adopt the violation appearance, did everybody, Bennett, did you have a question the last time?
Yeah,
And I think he actually sent you the 2 copies.
she sent me the 2 copies. My question was, is this new ticket the one that is gonna be able to be used digitally then?
Yes.
And the old one was not?
No, the old one could be too, but the state recommended the change. This is the updated version. Either one could have been made digital.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, who seconded?
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be resolved to dissolve the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust and Agency Reserve number 8.18.
Second for the purpose of
I'm not
discussion.
done yet. Let me get to the whole thing. And it's all one big resolution. And be it resolved to transfer the remaining funds of the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust and Agency Reserve to the Memorial Tree Trust and Agency number 94575. Be it further resolved, the Memorial Tree Trust and Agency 9475 will continue to be used to plant trees in honor of Woodstockers as recognized by the Woodstock Town Board. Be it further resolved, expenses associated with fundraising for this fund will be paid out of the fund, and be it further resolved, Woodstock Town Board will approve all expenditures. Now, you want a second for purpose?
Yes, second for purpose of discussion.
Discuss.
I'd like to know how much funds are in the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust and Agency Reserve. I'd also want to know what those funds were initially intended to be used for.
To honor Woodstockers, the amount of funds in there, I think, is 4,600 and change, or 4,500 and change in that one, and in the tree one, about 760, which will give us just a hair under 5,500.
What I'm concerned with is the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust and Agency Reserve. The funds were established for the purpose of recognizing, as you said, Woodstock artists and memorializing them. And I just don't feel it's appropriate to be moving funds that one group may have placed in one fund to another fund for something else. I think that what we really need to do is fully fund the Memorial Tree Trust and Agency, not shuffle funds that are intended for artist memorials to another trust and agency account. I don't think that this is the way to appropriately deal with funds that were intended for Woodstock artists, or to fund the memorial trees.
Okay, thank you, Bennett. Maria-Elena?
I tend to agree with Bennett.
Okay.
Why take away from one group when,
Okay.
so.
You guys want to table it or move forward? We can still honor Woodstock artists by planting trees.
So it's just expanding, is this expanding it to beyond artists?
It would expand it
Just
to anyone the Woodstock Town Board will fit to honor with a tree.
I mean, it would dissolve it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember in years past when something like this has happened, it was because we
We
weren't
hadn't used
tapping into that fund. So how long has it been since we've tapped into
It's
this?
been 10 or 12 years since we used it, and that long since we got a donation for it.
Well, so tell me again, so the original fund, the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust and Agency, were you around when it was created? Probably because you've been around for a while. And do you recall the specific purpose of why it was created?
No, I don't believe I was around at the time to honor Woodstockers who had artistic backgrounds.
So maybe we can do something with that, maybe we can revive that and.
But it was a memorial. But the thing is, it was a memorial, and the trees are a memorial, and I guess I view that we're shifting, by having the tree fund, we're shifting to say we're memorializing people through the trees at the moment.
Woodstockers.
Woodstockers. Yeah, we're memorializing Woodstockers of significance with the trees. So it's a shift of one way of memorializing, which the artist memorial maybe didn't specify what you had to do, or maybe it does, what you had to do to be memorialized through that. The tree committee, we know the process there,
It was
is the
very-
board decides who is gonna be.
And basically, the artist one was the same.
And it is
There's no
trees.
criteria.
So,
For me, though, somebody gave money, or money was placed there specifically for artists. And, I mean, the tree committee's list of people who are going to receive memorial trees, I'm not sure how many of those people are artists. I understand that they are both memorials, but I mean, let's just be, the Woodstock Artists Memorial is not the tree memorial.
And I can think of a number of, there are some artists now that are about to pass away that are giants in terms
Well,
of performing arts.
We could plant trees
So-
for them.
We could definitely plant trees for them, but we could certainly also do other things with the Woodstock Artists Memorial Trust.
I'm
And I-
fine with tabling. Do you guys,
I'm fine, I was off table. I'm fine
Okay.
with
If you'd like to
also.
table.
Tables. No trees. Whereas on June 7th, 2022, the town board passed resolution 129-2022 authorizing the highway superintendent to go out to bid for tree service contract. And whereas bids were to be received no later than 10 a.m. July 18th, 2022. Whereas only one bid was received, that bid being from LW Tree Service, daily rate of $2,000, half-day rate of $1,200, 4 hours, emergency rate of $575 for 3-hour minimum. Be it resolved to accept the bid from LW Tree Service effective July 20th, 2022.
second for purpose of discussion.
Yes?
So are we sensing that, because everybody has a budget, the highway has a budget, so as they take advantage of this, we don't see any issue with them keeping within the budget as they take advantage of a LW tree?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So of course, everybody has a budget, so we're approving that when they do need tree service, here's gonna be the rate that they pay out for tree service, but they will of course be keeping within their overall budget
Yes.
as they.
So
as they
the
engage.
rate went up $200. It went from $1,800,
Which
the
is
contract
reasonable.
expired. It went up to $200, so
That's-
that's,
That's reasonable.
they may get a few less hours at the end of the year.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys ayes?
Yeah.
Okay, 5-0. And last, I sent an email out about this. Be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with National Business Technology for printers and service. National is our printer supplier right now. Their contract runs out in 4 months, but they did come in early. I guess they've got some new machines sitting around and are eager to get them to us. The contract is actually about $100 less than what we're now presently paying. Questions? Do I have a second?
Second.
No questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Bennett, you second. Okay. Okay, Ashley, do we have any public be heard?
I'd like to speak.
Okay, let me just.
I do not have anybody on Zoom
Oh,
for
okay,
public
Michael,
hearing.
you can public be heard.
Yeah, back about the tree committee, artist money, I just want to go on record here. Tree committee was not consulted at all for input on this proposal. Frankly, I'm shocked that thousands of dollars have been sitting around in the fund for 12 years when we've got artists associations in this town that could use that money. And I can't think of a better way to honor an artist's memory than to give money to artist groups that really struggle in Woodstock. I want to ask the board to keep open the concept of using the ARP money to fund the tree planting. The DOT project, which Gabe Linhart and Cindy Miro are going to be mapping out this week, is a very large project. Gabe was here last week and explained we have at least 10 sites right now in addition to the DOT project to plant trees. So it's really, the $700 is not going to cut it. And I don't think anyone on our committee would approve taking money from the artist's memory fund and using it for trees when we have ARP sitting there that can be used, and apparently we have a lot of it. So, tree committee isn't asking for much, and I don't see why there's a problem, but we are here and we are open to discuss, and we're happy to come and have private meetings with anybody on the board if they want them, and, you know, it's a very active group.
Thank you, Michael.
I really, really appreciate everybody.
Carol, did you have a?
Well, it's partly covered by Michael, but I feel like the tree committee money should be completely separate and not on condition of some other fund having some extra that they can siphon into us. We should have our own money. If people, you know, the taxpayer money, I'm sure most people, first of all, they benefit enormously from these trees. Most people love the trees, and it's such a speck of the overall budget that I'm sure if you had a referendum question, that 95% of the people would say, yes, we want the trees. So why can't we, designated fund every year to plant and take care of trees? I don't understand it. We were set up as a committee, we worked very hard, and we're being hampered from what we worked so hard to do. I went out and we went out and talked to various people, the Methodist Church. We go out and talk to this one, that one. It takes a long time to arrange it, plan it, where the trees are going to go, get them enthusiastic, get them to be responsible for watering them for the first year since we can't. And, you know, people basically love the idea. So I'm requesting a certain amount of money, $2,000 a year, whatever, that we get to do this, so there's not always a big issue that's
Okay.
open.
Thank you. So with that, I'm meeting adjourned, and we're going to end with the heat. So I talk to you guys.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Ashley.
Go home to air conditioning.
Have a good night, everyone.
That's just a me laugh.
Yeah, Bill.
Good night, Ashley.
Good night, Jackie.
Artist.
See you tomorrow. Oh, I won't see you tomorrow.
Around whole thing totals around 54 and change. The
5,400.
5,400, and the tree had about 763. Balance was in the artist.
And we don't know where the artist money came from.
Right. It's from Pam today.